part of begin with yes. When I wrote the book, I thought yes was the most important word, but actually a friend of mine said, Paul, I think the most important word is begin. Do something, take action. And so I think that for me, if I had to choose a lesson that has really helped me and seems to resonate with lots of people that I work with or talk to, it's these taking small steps. I think we focus on the bigness of what we're trying to accomplish, and then we get overwhelmed, or we come up with a million reasons why we can't do it. I'll give you an example. I want to go back to school and get a graduate degree. So then we start focusing, I don't have any money, I've got 2 kids, I've got another full-time job, so I don't have any time, and you find all the reasons, because it's a huge task to go back to school and get a graduate degree in poetry or whatever you want to get the degree in. But instead, so that's a game we play with ourselves in a way. It's a trick we play on ourselves. And so I always say, focus on one small step that would move you in that direction. And it's so small that you could do it in the next 15 minutes. And every
4 minutes, right?
Or 4 minutes, because and no matter how busy you are, you could fit 4 minutes into your day to do something important for your dream or where you want to move. And it's the simplicity of it. So using the college, for example, I would say, well, what I could do today is go online for 5 minutes and at least do a search for colleges that have degrees in poetry within 30 minutes from where I live. Done. And then the next day, my small step could be, you can take many small steps in a day if you want to, but I'm trying to make this really simple. The next day could be, well, I'm going to call those schools and have them send me a brochure. Or I'm going to spend 10 minutes each day for the rest of the week looking through their website. And so one of my favorite questions, by the way, is now what? Because it's always like, instead of like, oh my God, we're having problems, or there's traffic, or I can't remember what I'm supposed to do, or whatever it is. It's like, now what? Because, well, what can I do now? It sort of inspires you to figure out. The beauty of those small steps is that if you take a small step on Monday and another one on Tuesday and another one the next day, at the end of the week, you're 7 steps ahead of where you were. And then people begin to get the sense that, well, wow, I'm actually making something happen. I'm moving. I'm no longer stuck. Because it is, as both you and I know, you cannot be moving and stuck at the same time. It's absolutely impossible. So if being stuck is your problem, you don't have to move the mountain. You just have to pick up one small stone and move that. And you're in action. And there's something invigorating about that. It's sort of like, it's empowering. I'm doing something. I'm making something happen. And I begin to feel more enthusiastic. And really, the steps get easier and they pick up their pace. But so if people are looking for a way to challenge themselves, one small step that you can take in the next 5 minutes in the direction that you want to go in.
That's excellent advice. That's great advice. And I think for everyone watching this, the sense that I get is you're someone who was at that point where you might have given yourself the excuse of being stuck.
Right.
So in my experience, I felt that way too. I've even said I think I'm stuck. And I had a great call yesterday with Mary Morrissey, and she talks about living from your dream. And she just reminded me during this call, she said, well, I know you have something coming up that you'd really like to have come together nicely this week. We're doing a webinar, the Marketing Minimalist Blueprint webinar. And I said, I've gone through the content, I feel really good about it, but I just feel like there's a couple points where I'm stuck. And I heard myself say it. Right. And I said to her, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
But she said, well, why don't you go ahead and right now, go ahead and deliver that content now.
Right.
No, now. And I said, well, there's no more talking. Just deliver it now.
Right.
And we all need those reminders, but there's this illusion that I've had, and I think everyone has at some point, that there needs to be a delay between this is what I want to become, or this is what I want to create. I want to be the poet, or the author, or the speaker, or whatever, wherever you are, you want to do tap.
Right.
And there's this illusion that you have to wait. So, my sense has been that, and my experience has been, if you become you version 2.0, or whatever version you're on right now, you become the next version, then you can look at what would life be like? What would you be experiencing? What would if you want to be the poet, what would the poet be doing today? what would the poet stop doing? Would the poet be stuck on this thing over here on the left, or would the poet have let go of that, to your point earlier, and started on something new? I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I feel like it's okay to be stuck, but it's not okay to stay stuck. And the easiest way to get unstuck is to just do something. It's that simple, Nate.
Just move.
Just move. And you know what? If a lot of times I feel like if you can't think of anything, which is almost hard to imagine, but if you can't think of anything to do, like if you're stuck writing a book and you just can't write that next word or the next sentence, then get up and bake a cake.
Right.
Go for a walk. Call someone that's lonely and cheer them up. It's like, do something. Because
give something. Give something, right?
Absolutely.
Boy, there's nothing more freeing than saying, I can't get this for myself, but what if I were to give it from myself?
Right. Exactly. A beautiful thought. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Paul, just to expand on that first question that I asked, and maybe to be even more specific with you, I think that it's great when we can give examples. If you could give an example from your own life where you were stuck, where you weren't sharing your greatest passion, your greatest gifts, living your life adventure. Could you share a time where you had that and where you then broke through and started to?
Yeah, I think that being stuck is nothing to feel bad about or that it's unusual, because everyone has had that feeling. I certainly have had a number of times. The one that comes to mind when you asked the question, Nate, was I was in a job that I was really stuck in. I had been doing it for a long time, something I used to love and feel passionate about. I had sort of lost that energy. And to be really honest, I was really underappreciated in that position, but I was also underperforming, and those two things created this cycle. And I stayed stuck for a number of years because I didn't understand that I had more power than I thought. And at some point, I got so uncomfortable being stuck that I was forced into action. And
how did you suffer in that experience? I think we all suffer.
Yeah, it's a psychic sort of pain. It's like your self-esteem plummets, your confidence goes downhill, your sense of hope and excitement about life is dampened, and it sort of impacts almost every part of your life and all your relationships that you have with other people. And I think that going through some painful situations sometimes are important to us, and they allow us to sort of reframe. It's like you have to get to a place where you're so uncomfortable that you can't stay there anymore. And once you reach that point, then the whole begin with yes would really kick in. I think that I probably didn't have to stay in that place for 5 years. I think that I could have recognized it early on, and that's the people that I speak to now. It's amazing to me, the people that interact with me, especially on my Facebook page. There are so many people that are so ready to take that next step, and
a lot of fear, maybe.
Yeah, and really, and you said at the very beginning of this conversation, and sometimes we need permission, and maybe that's what I do for people. I say it's okay to take that small step. And I try not to give people advice too much, because these are really many times huge life-changing decisions that people are contemplating. But I do give people permission to take that first step, and then the next one, and the next one. And then
where clarity comes from, right?
It really does.
Like you said, just move.
It really does. So I've been stuck. There's nobody listening to this conversation that's been stuck at more times in their life than I have. And we could have a show on being stuck, and we talk about that.
I think you and I could sit here and talk
Absolutely.
about that.
And that's the beauty, because it's sort of like, where I don't feel like that I'm a master of this. I feel like I am part of this with everybody else.
Yeah.
And
we are in this together, aren't we?
Absolutely.
I think that's a great gift from you, Paul. And, as I hear your thoughts, I think about how we all get to that place where we're massively confused, or we're having that suffering, or we're frustrated, and it's that place where we know we've settled, where something in our life isn't is this all there is, or couldn't I be more? How come I'm stuck with this? And we start to blame what's going on around us, and it starts to fester for a while. And I think that the good news for everybody, the good news for you and I, is that from my point of view and from my experience, that you can't have a breakthrough. You can't start something new until you realize this massive sense of a need to start something new. Something has to move you forward.
Absolutely.
And you have to have confusion before you can have learning.
Right.
So if you're confused, it's great news.
Right.
And if you're frustrated, you're on your way.
Right, exactly. Great.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
This has been a really great time with Paul. Thank you so much for coming down to Nate Lindquist Results TV and doing this interview.
It's always fun talking to you, Nate. So I always learn something new. So
right on. Well, I hope everyone watching this feels the energy in the room that I feel just from sharing this, getting this message that you have that obviously really comes through you. The most humble guy who does so much great work with the Moore Center, and then he's got this other little author thing that he does where he just happens to have nearly 1 million people at this point.
It's growing fast.
Follow along on Facebook. I'm inspired. You inspire me, Paul. And I'd like to ask you another big question.
Okay.
We have a couple new trainings coming up about helping people identify awaken their dormant gifts, heed their true calling, and thrive. It's our big 12-week program for the Gifts Formula. And I'd like to ask you right here. I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you like to contribute a little bit of your thoughts and ideas to that? So when people sign on to this program, they get to hear a little bit of your magic too.
Sure. Now, how would you want that to manifest itself? Like for me to just say something right now about that? Or?
I think what I'd like to do is have you come back, and as we're getting ready for the kickoff of the program, first of all, I'd invite you to certainly to join us in the TV show and come back to the show again in the future. Yeah. But just to maybe audit a little bit of the content and share your thoughts on it.
What could I say except yes?
I knew that. What else should we ask?
I know my grandchildren try to trick me, but I figured out ways around that. So.
Do you want to know what I want for Christmas?
No, I definitely don't.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
It's awesome.
Appreciate it. This is great. I hope everyone enjoyed that. This is Nate Lindquist from Nate Lindquist Results TV, and we'll be back to you soon. Hope you enjoyed the first new episode, and have an awesome day and an awesome holiday.